On today's show,
One-Eyed Charlie, the Terminator, call him what you will, Mike Conley shines as the Grizzlies even up their series with the Warriors.
in Atlanta, the number one seeded Hawks were in danger of going down 2-0, but OG Al wouldn't let his team lose.
And in the mailbox, we debate the best dunking point guard of all time.
It's Wednesday, May 6th. The start starts now.
Good evening, Sweet World, and welcome to another playoff edition of The Starters. Whether you're joining us live online, you're listening to the podcast, catching us on NBA TV, very happy to have you. I'm Jay Skeets, and alongside me, as always, that's Tass Mellis.
We actually all broke our faces before the show, but we're going to talk our way through it.
To my right, Starters blog editor Trey Kirby.
Hey-o.
Hey-yo! And finally, international man of mystery, taking it to the max, that's Lee Ellis.
Friends.
Lily.
Lily. All right, later in the show, going to get to the mailbox, answer a few of the questions that you guys sent in. But first, we start with the games, and let's start in the Bay, where Mike Conley and his titanium face returned to the court to lead the Grizzlies to the 97-90 win over the Warriors in Game 2 of their semifinal series. Memphis turning the Roracle into a bit of a grindhouse there with the Dubs. They end Golden State's 21-game home winning streak, hand the Dubs their first loss at home since late January and their first loss of the postseason. Series all tied up at one game apiece.
The Memphis Grizzlies know who they are more than anyone in this league, and with Mike Conley on the floor with 1.5 eyes, they were reminded, hey, you got to be tough. Conley a part of that defense. Heck, even Vince Carter had 7 boards in 18 minutes, but Conley did so much on the offensive end, getting them into their sets. He was 4-4 in the first 6 minutes, then he had to take a break. He was gassed, okay? When he came back, he got hit in the face. We were all a little worried. Draymond Green, after the timeout there, gets him a little bit of a shot on the face. We'll get into that a little bit more. He was fine. He came back in the second half. My God, he was beautiful. He had as many threes as the entire Grizzlies team did in Game 1. Getting the guys into their sets, controlling the tempo is just so huge against this Golden State Warriors team. And then the dagger finished it off right there. A couple minutes left. 22 points in only 27 minutes, but led his team to 20 fast break points too. The guy just did it all. He just keeps his team in so much more control. They needed a perimeter player big time, and they held the other team to 90 points.
Yeah, that's exactly
That's it.
The tempo huge. We talked about it going into Game 2 if Conley was going to play. He's the one guy that can slow the Warriors down a little bit, but he can still pick his spots too. You said the fast break points. They were there, a lot of those, just because their defense was amped up. Couldn't think of a better start, though, for Conley, going 4 for 4 right away, hitting the threes, attacking still. You heard Barkley talk about it on Inside. For a guy with a broken face here, just coming off of it, he wasn't afraid. He wasn't settling by any means. He was going inside.
Yeah, maybe the one thing that can one-up an MVP presentation is your point guard returning with a broken face and balling out from the start. And like Tess is saying, he gets the Grizzlies the right shots. He takes care of the ball. And on defense, it allows Tony Allen to play against Klay Thompson rather than having guard Steph Curry. And that's a huge, huge win for the Grizzlies.
I thought it was so cool after the game. You know, Conley had the ball as the time wound down. All the Grizzlies guys. I mean, you could see how much this meant to them because they knew how much pain he was in, the pressure of his head there coming off the surgery. Every guy coming up there, Daps, touching his head, hugging him. They were inspired, really, I think, to play harder for Conley out there.
Well, when you've got a guy out there, like you mentioned, who's playing with a face that if he gets sustains an injury to that, it could wipe him out for the rest of the series. Instead, he was going out there, didn't affect his game in any way at all in a negative tone. You know, he's driving into lane, still getting those floaters, still absorbing contact, just doing everything. Only turned the ball over once as well. Right. So that just shows how engaged he was. Sometimes you can be a little bit rusty, especially if his vision is compromised at all, but he only turned it over once. What a fantastic effort.
Let's get to him absorbing some contact with that face. When Draymond Green gave him a little shot from that one angle we showed you, it looks like it was after the play and that there could have been a little bit of motive. Hey, the guy's got a broken face. No need to play it safe. Let's give him a quick bump. Conley was entirely fine. I know some people say it was just entirely by accident, but I do think Draymond knows what's going on in this instance. He called timeout. There were plenty of seconds in between Conley calling timeout and Green just giving him a bump. Again, it wasn't an incredibly aggressive bump. It was a bump.
You're saying that was somewhat tiny intentional?
Yeah.
Really? I don't buy that for a second. Because if you were going to try and quote-unquote hurt a guy, you would have done a better job. He brushes him because he's going for the ball.
He wants to stay in the game.
First off, he's calling a timeout. It's loud in the Roracle. He probably can't even hear the whistle.
The whistle was plenty before that.
I'm sorry, if you're going to intentionally, again, try and hurt him, he would have, look, you could have tried and kicked him in the ribs, kicked him in the head.
Everybody else.
He didn't do any of that.
The other 8 guys on the floor are stopped. Nothing else is going on but that.
Yeah, that's
he
how
wants to
Draymond
stay in the
Green
game.
plays. He plays a little harder, and he's going to play until he knows the ball is dead.
It
I
was
just don't
dead. It
buy
was
it.
dead.
I just don't buy that he was
Everybody
intentional.
knows.
And I think you even saw it when he came out. First off, the post-game quotes, he says, look, I didn't mean to do that.
Yeah.
And he talked to Zach right there and said, Zach came over, why are you trying to hurt my guy? And he said, I didn't mean to.
Anyways,
I brushed him in the face.
As a member of the opposition, you know who's hurt, and you know what's going on. And he went after that after the ball was dead. All is fair in sport. I didn't think there was anything entirely wrong with that. The guy's got a weakness. You don't seek it out, but hey, if he's around, you make it a point.
The Grizzlies fans, though, are going to use that as
For sure.
some inspiration, whatever you want to call it, in Game 3 when it goes back to the grindhouse. Let's talk a little bit, though, about Tony Allen. Conley, great. Again, the inspiration, but this guy, Tony Allen,
So special.
gave us one of those really Tony Allen playoff games. We've seen him do it before in the past, either shut down a Durant or keep a Tony Parker in check or a Chris Paul. And here he was last night doing it on Curry and doing it on Clay.
He said he turned the Roracle into the grindhouse, and that's exactly right. He brought the intensity, and it rubs off on all the rest of the Grizzlies. They got so many more steals. They just look like the Grizzlies again.
Sometimes you get a trick or treat, Tony. This was all treat, baby. I mean,
Yeah.
he was so great. You check the hand in front of the face here on Steph.
Hover
He
hand.
was in his zone. All the play was great, but I think the best part of watching him was probably the fact that he was mic'd up.
First team all defense. First team all defense. Great D, boy. First team all defense. First team all defense. I'm strong.
You know you're strong, Tony. Leading that team, holding the Warriors to 90 points. That's a heck of an accomplishment in the Roracle. They just threw them off so much. Clay and Curry, we'll get to them. They did not look like Clay and Curry whatsoever.
Yeah, you see when Tony was matched up specifically on those two shooters on the Splash Brothers there, did a great job of keeping them in check. Not a lot of points when Tony was the one locking them up. Those stats coming, of course, NBA.com/stats. You're right. He was locked in, and I think it spread to the entire Grizzlies team because there was like active hands on the defensive
Everywhere.
end. Gasol,
Zebo
Tony,
alive.
Jeff Green had one where he jumped the passing lane, took it the other way. And for all 4 quarters too. This wasn't just a little 12 minutes here, 15 minutes here. I would say from first quarter through the fourth, they were active.
And that's where how you have to be against the Golden State Warriors because they've got so many different ways of scoring the basketball. If you put pressure on those guys, then it makes it just harder for them to do that. And again, coming back to Mike Conley, he was able to control the tempo for them on offense, so they're a lot more aggressive on defense. And Tony Allen, again, I mean, you mentioned Tass, I think Zach Lowe coined him the trick or treat Tony. When he is focused like that, he makes such a difference to the whole team defense of the Memphis Grizzlies. Everyone gets involved, everyone's hands up in people's faces, and everyone's doing what they're supposed to be doing.
It was so strange watching this game in the Oracle, totally controlled by the Grizzlies. Every single possession, it felt like it was definitely their pace. Much credit goes to Mike Conley, but much credit to this entire roster. I mean, they were ready from the get-go, definitely inspired by their leader from the opening tip.
Oh, for sure. I mean, and you saw it in the way they played even the three-point shot. In the first game, the Warriors were getting their uncontested looks at threes. And that just plummeted in game 2. And I think that's how you have to play the Warriors. You have to run them off, just run them off the three-point line. Of course they're going to be able to attack and get inside, but you do have Zebo, you do have Gasol. You're going to be able to at least muck it up in there a bit. But don't let, especially when they're at home in the Roracle, you got to take away the threes. And, some of it was just these guys missing shots.
Well,
Curry
then
and
some of
Kai.
it's just getting physical with it. Right off the bat, they let Curry know, hey,
Yeah.
we're going to touch you up, basically, every single possession. And they got the ball out of his hands a ton, and then he just sort of got out of his flow. Klay Thompson was, I don't know who Klay Thompson
Out
was.
of sorts, for sure. Because he had Tony Allen on him the whole time.
But
It's a
what is
lot.
this shot, though? I mean, this shot followed by the missed dunk, the one...
He was rushed. It was like the first time he really had an open look off the dribble, and I think he just didn't think he was going to be that open, really.
Yeah,
But look
you
at that, and then the double dribble. I mean, he just mentally, something happened to Klay last night. He just wasn't there. And then Curry, he shot 11 threes, but that was a big instance there. Minute and a half left. Could have been a 5-point game. You got Gasol, time to dance. You've got so much room out there when it's just you and Marc Gasol, but he passes off instead. I mean, they just got into them and affected them. They just did not look like the Splash.
Yeah, Curry missing 9 of his 11 threes. Though he's not too worried after game 2, and they're shooting. We're not going to shoot 6 for 26 from 3 many times over this series, so we're not going to overreact to one bad shooting night as long as we get quality shots the next game. But that's what it comes down to, right? Is yes, again, it's Curry and Clay. They're going to bounce back and hit these threes. But a lot of the credit does have to go to the Grizzlies for at least running them off or covering their eyes or whatever Tony and
You're not going to hit him if you're shooting off one leg.
No, yeah. Even Dirk was like, what are you doing? Anyway, got to take a break. When we come back, the Junkyard Dog is the new Dominique Wilkins. Too much? Maybe.
A little too.
Yeah. Back with the starters, down to the Fortress, where the Hawks even their first round series with the Wizards 106-90 behind a solid team performance. Al Horford in particular, brilliant on both ends of the court, but the Hawks sure were helped out by the Wizards' sort of last-second decision to sit John Wall because of his wrist injury.
Yes, John Wall obviously out. The Hawks need to win this game. Some call it a must-win. John Wall out, it's sort of like the Chris Paul effect. You got to perform, and this man, Al Horford, he performed. 106-90, the score looked a lot closer than what it was. Al Horford came up, it felt like, with big play after big play. Some won't show up in the box score, like when you're guarding Bradley Beal on the perimeter and then force another shot. That is just spectacular stuff by your center. Then he does it obviously down low. He did it everywhere. He absolutely did it everywhere. Yeah, they did it by committee, but I felt like when they needed a play, it was Horford at both ends, not just doing it defensively. He'll beat you up the court. Sorry, see you later, Marcin Gortat. That's pure hustle. Obviously fantastic in the pick and slip situations. And then dribbling the ball like he's a guard outside on the perimeter. The 5 setting up a 4, Paul Millsap for the 3 ball. Paul Millsap had just grabbed an offensive rebound, showing you that Paul Pierce at the 4 sometimes doesn't always work out. It was a beautiful play. The 5 and 4, Millsap and Horford just destroyed, basically, Nene and Gortat in this one.
Well, yeah, and
Simply put.
that was basically all Gortat.
Yeah.
Nene hasn't done much of anything
he has done
in this series,
nothing,
so it's almost a bit surprising that it is 1-1. But yeah, you said it. Horford aggressive defensively, offensively getting them timely buckets. Yes, there were at times, it looked like the Hawks were at least in control, but timely buckets. 8 points in the fourth quarter, Al Horford. That's exactly what they needed in a must-win game. It was a must-win game.
Yeah, and he basically outplayed both of the bigs for the Wizards by themselves. And at this point, I think you almost have to split up Gortat and Nene because they're just too slow to stick with the Hawks bigs because they're both mobile. Horford and Millsap can both make plays from the perimeter, and it just is giving up huge deficits. The Wizards are. In the first quarter stints for Nene, both games, they've been a -8. And it's mostly because Nene is just being a little passive. He's being sad Nene right now, and when it's sad Nene, it's no good.
And the problem for Randy Whitman is he doesn't even like playing Marcin Gortat in the fourth quarter either, and he kind of has to play at least one of them because Horford, you're sawing at both ends. He only had 4 rebounds last night, Al Horford, and that's, looking at the box score, you're just like, that it seems impossible because he just, every time there needed to be a critical play, he either seemed to chase down the ball, make a deflection, get the assist, set the screen, do everything that helped his team out. But as you mentioned, that doesn't always show up in the box score, but he totally dominated that game.
I would say Horford was incredible, but maybe not even the most consistent Hawk player through the last, 5 or 6 games. And I'm speaking of DeMarre Carroll. Again, this guy is going to get paid, and rightfully so. He's averaging 22, 6, nearly 3 assists over his last 5 playoff games, shooting 60% from the floor and over 55% from 3.
Yep, his agent's pretty happy right now,
I'll
for
say.
sure. I mean, it's gone from sort of unexpected production with this guy to you expect it.
Yeah.
I mean, we were down at the Fortress during the Nets series. You look up, wow. I mean, he's carrying the team in the first half,
Yeah.
but he's done it consistently game after game.
And
Horford gets so much attention. There's going to be an opportunity for somebody to be aggressive, to hit the seams or an open 3, and DeMarre Carroll's taking advantage.
And he's doing that as well. He's really stepping out for 3. They have to respect that. And when they don't, he can go inside and finish very, very well at the rim. Like, he's showing that he's got so much more to his game. He keeps on adding to it.
After game 1, there was a lot of talk with the Hawks, and I know there was a great piece, I think it was Kevin Arnovitz on ESPN, about whether Budenholzer should be playing his starters now that you're into the playoffs, just more minutes together. Budenholzer did a little bit from game 1 to 2. In game 1, the 5 starters, your 4 All-Stars and DeMarre Carroll, 18 minutes together in game 1. That was bumped up to 22-23 in game 2. So not significant, but when they're out there, and it's something you talked about before, Trey, I mean, the offensive rating through the roof, the defense rating, they're just so much better when the 5 starters are there.
They're dominating in it. I mean, part of it's because Nene's been so bad so far, but basically this is the January Eastern Conference Player of the Month out there together, and they're dominating, and it's not a coincidence that therefore their bench had the best game they've probably had in the playoffs so far, playing against an entirely bench unit.
Yeah, Kent Bazemore giving him something last night. He struggled throughout the playoffs, but he hit 2 threes. Perry and Teach stepped out. He took a couple threes. You're right. I mean, that was the best game, I would say, in terms of the starters, given the starters, you know the starters are going to do that, but the bench contributing a little bit.
Kent Bazemore's played important minutes for the Atlanta Hawks this season, but you mentioned against Brooklyn, he really couldn't get that shot falling.
not buy a bucket.
Last night, critical stage there in the second half where he hit a couple of three-pointers, and you could see that his energy on defense lifted from that as well, because if your shot's not falling, it can sometimes affect you at the other end. But he last night was really good for them, and they're going to need more of that, especially because Kyle Korver, he's getting a lot more attention in the playoffs, and if his shot's not falling, they need someone like Kent to come out there and replace him and give them that same sort of spark.
Let's go back to John Wall, because it was a little surprising. We sat here yesterday as we were throwing a game time thinking John Wall was going to be playing in this game along with Bradley Beal. In the end, he didn't. He said post-game to TNT's David Aldridge, wrist isn't broken, the hand's not broken, but he is going to get and seek out a second opinion over the next day or two. Game 3, luckily for the Wizards and their fans, isn't till Saturday, so a bit of a scheduling perk. But no John Wall, no chance. I think that's fair to say. He really is as important as like a Chris Paul to the Clips. I know the Clippers won their game without him, or a Harden without Rocket. He really is that
No
important.
chance to go far, but they could beat this Hawks team.
Really? Without John
The way
Wall?
they played yesterday? Yeah. That was a close game down to the wire. You get 2 games at home? Yes.
But you're right, they do have 2 games at home. I'll have to double check the schedule, but you're right. When we come back, we'll open up the mailbox, answer a few of your questions, including just who is the best dunking point guard of all time?
Oh look, there's mail. We got mail. Woohoo!
Back with the starters, into the mailbox. You guys are great. Sending in the questions. Keep them coming. The starters at NBA.com. First question, love this one. Guys, watching Steve Francis highlights got me wondering, who do you guys think is the best dunking point guard of all time? That's from Angelo. Before we get to our answers, Steve Francis is a solid pick.
Oh, yeah. He pushed Vince in the 2000 dunk contest, and he couldn't even palm the ball.
Pushed Vince? I mean, he was good.
He would have won it if it wasn't for Vince.
Yeah.
He was incredible.
Yeah, that's probably fair. But look, answering this, I think we should try and avoid the dunk contest, though. I'm thinking in-game dunkers here at the point guard position. Who do you got?
It's all Baron Davis. This man, the power, the strength. We just got to show you the one dunk, obviously, over Andrei Kirilenko. It's unfortunate
It's a good one.
he didn't take his jersey off, but he is just so powerful when he throws it up. Obviously, one of the best athletes in the game for his time. Such a great athlete, still planning on making a comeback. See you soon, BD.
Who you got, Trey?
Our list would be incomplete without Robert Pack. The one thing anybody knows about Robert Pack is that he's one of the best little guy dunkers of all time. Listed at 6'2", probably not true. He's in the 94 slam dunk contest. Back in the day, it seemed like he was in every top 10 plays of the week, and you know he's an incredible dunker because it even made his Wikipedia page. Pack was known as one of the game's best dunkers during the first half of the 90s and one of the more spectacular in-game dunkers of all time among smaller players. If it's on Wikipedia, it must be true.
That must be true. You're absolutely right. Trust everything on the internet. What do you got, Lee?
I got Russell Westbrook. For a guy
Yeah,
who
that's
apparently couldn't even dunk until he was a senior in high school, he's certainly making up for it. It's just the athleticism and the ferociousness. 2 hands, he's got the windmill, he can do it in traffic. He explodes up there and dunks it. And I just love watching him. He gets a crowd going. The commentators as well. When they're commentating a game and he throws it down, they lose it. So I think for me, that's a pretty strong indication.
My pick, a young Derrick Rose. Feels so long ago, but for all the injuries, man, was he explosive. And if you've ever seen like his high school clips, like his mixtapes on YouTube, I mean, they're just unreal. That's who we have. Let's hear from you guys. Jump on Twitter, hashtag the starters, the best in-game dunking point guard of all time. I'm sure there's going to be some votes for Penny and Kevin Johnson, John Wall, I'm sure, so let us know. Next question here. Hello, starters. Hello. Bulls fan here. Woj wrote an article on Tom Thibodeau in the Bulls front office yesterday, but all of the quotes from the coach himself suggest there's nothing to it, and it's, quote, it's just noise. My question, do you think the Bulls want Tibbs gone that badly? Even if the Bulls beat the Cavs, is Tibbs' job safe? That question coming from Dan. This is a weird situation here. What do you guys think?
If they beat the Cleveland Cavaliers, his job should definitely be safe. Now, I understand the minutes problem, and I definitely do believe that that is a problem, but he's getting the most out of his team. We know that, and the knock on him is defense is great, but maybe his offense is a little bit limited. It jumped up this season when he had some serious parts to deal with, to actually work with. So I think his job should entirely be safe.
They were a top 5 offense too back in 2011 when Derrick Rose, more shout outs to young Derrick Rose dominating back in the day, kind of sad stuff, but you have to believe a lot of this stuff because it has been going on for so long.
Right.
I do think Tibbs thinks it's just noise because he cares about the game tonight and literally nothing else. I personally don't think the minutes are that big of a problem. Jimmy Butler plays a ton, but he's 25 years old in a contract year. I think he wants to be out there. Everybody else, all their main guys are basically at their career averages or lower. I don't know. Pau Gasol is somebody people say plays too much, but he also is playing 34 minutes a game. That's not that much. He was playing less than that because he was playing for a coach who didn't like him.
How weird would this be, though? If the Bulls, and I mean, it's a strong possibility. It's possible that not only they beat the Cavs, but maybe even go to the finals. Let's say they win it, that they would then part ways with their coach because there's a disconnect between him and the front office. That would be insane.
Yeah, I don't think they would do it if they win the championship, but I think that's basically getting to the finals.
That's what Woj is saying.
Yeah,
that is what this article is saying.
I think he's going a little bit over the top there because I can't see a franchise firing a coach for winning the championship.
That would be nuts.
You should have won it better.
I do remember the Bulls forcing Phil Jackson out at the end of the '98 season.
Yeah, but that is true. But I think
was
that
one
was
last
also
run there, yeah, that's
because
true.
I think that Jordan was at the end of his run, Pippen was moving on as well. So that Bulls era was finishing, and I think this Bulls era right now has still got plenty to play for. Tibbs seems to me like a fairly stubborn guy, and I think the front office wants him to sort of change his ways somewhat. And I think he's saying, no, I'm the coach. You pay me to coach. I'll coach. If you don't like it, then find someone else. But if he has success this year and that's getting to the finals, I can't see it happening.
I mean, Trey brings up a good point. Like Phil Jackson, they were sort of at their wits' end, in terms of their relationship. They could be as well.
A lot of drama.
We don't know what's going on behind closed doors, but he's getting the most out of his guys.
You're absolutely right. All right, thanks for the questions, guys. We got to take one more break, but when we come back, Lee gets a little creative with last night's very solid play. You're watching the starters. Welcome back to the starters. Lily, you got a little twist to your very solid play of the night.
Yes, a little different, very solid play today. Last night was the Sports Emmy Awards, and TNT's own Ernie Johnson won for Outstanding Sports Personality Studio Host. But one of the other nominees was the late Stuart Scott from ESPN, who sadly passed away earlier this year after a long battle with cancer. So Ernie, rather than accept the award himself, handed it over to Stuart Scott's 2 daughters, Taylor and Sydney Scott. It was a very emotional and beautiful moment, and well done by Ernie. And that's what I call a very solid play.
Does not get more solid than that.
No.
And yeah, very touching, very classy moment there. And congrats to Ernie on his 3rd Emmy.
Check the E60 of Ernie
Yeah.
that was out this week. My God.
Love it, Lee. All right, tonight's schedule. Bulls and Cavs, 7 p.m. Eastern on TNT with your Emmy winner there, Ernie Johnson, followed by Clippers and Rockets at 9:30. I'm excited for both of these games because you've got 2 teams that lost their first game at home, but especially to see what we get from LeBron James tonight and how Jimmy Butler will try and contain him.
It's going to be awesome.
LeBron's usually good at bouncing back, so that'll be fun. So enjoy the games. We'll be back here tomorrow night, 6:30 p.m. Eastern. We'll see you then.
Thanks for joining us, folks. And remember, unlike athletes, fans gain weight during the playoffs.
Race the night, people.